Yeah, we're good.
Then we're good.
Well,
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December 9th, 2014 meeting of the Township Council of Pequannock. Mr. Delaney, can you read the statement?
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board here in the Municipal Building, posted on the Township website, and published as a legal ad in Suburban Trends newspaper. Notice has also been provided to all those requesting notice and providing payment in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Okay, Jay, if I can ask you to do roll call, please.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Phelan?
I am here.
Mr. Vanderhoff?
Here.
Ms. Winterfield?
Here.
Mayor Florence Lynch?
Here. All right, we don't have any presentations tonight, so I'm going to move right to reports from volunteers. Anyone in the audience have a report from any of our boards or committees? Nothing, Frank? Oh, Louise. Okay.
I was going to let Frank go first, but he doesn't have
He
any.
seems to be
Hi,
quiet.
Louise Marchese, Recording Secretary for EDC and Grand Opening Coordinator. Like that title?
Did you make that up?
We had 2 grand openings over the past month. One is a new business called Jelly Moon Apothecary, which is a wellness center at 61 Newark Compton Turnpike, the Pequannock end of town. And the other one is Parent Train, which is for family counseling, also located on the Pequannock end of town. We have 2 upcoming businesses that will be opening. One is Crank Systems, which is physical fitness at 574 Newark Pompton Turnpike, Pompton Plains. The other is Passaic Bergen Water Softening. That'll be warehouse space at number 6 Industrial Road in Pequannock. I just want to make you aware that when we have a grand opening, I am bringing the new packets that we have from FinCredit. So at least give them that. They can look it over, and if they're interested, you can send FinCredit over to them. The other thing is, I want to say thank you for the banner. I mean it. I was in the hair salon when I saw it, Hair and Us, and I had them all come to the door and look at it, and everybody was very pleased with the banner, and I'm sure it's going to be fine. Speaking of banners, the banners that we have now on the turnpike, the ones that say support Panther Pride, are those going to be there much longer? Or, I mean, do we have like a certain set amount of time that we're going to keep them up?
They're all down, aren't they?
No, I guess they were replaced.
Would you consider changing them at some point? Like if we come up with a proposal, EDC comes up with a proposal of something else that we can use them for, you'll consider it? And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
As long as it's in the budget. Thanks, Louise. Anyone else want to give a report? No? Okay. We'll move on. Next item on the agenda is, what do we have? Public comment. Those wishing to address the council are invited to come forward, state your name and address for the record. Anyone in the audience? Nothing for public comment tonight? Okay. We what? Yeah, Rudolph comes out at 8 o'clock. There are no public hearings scheduled for this evening as well. And also ordinances for introduction. We don't have any new ordinances on the agenda for this evening. We will move right to resolutions for approval. So I'm going to ask Mr. Delaney to read the resolutions by title, please.
Yes, Resolution R 2014-228, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations. Resolution 229, authorizing tax office cancellations on township-owned property. Resolution 230, authorizing release of designated escrow deposits. Number 231, authorizing the utility collector to cancel designated utility balances and overpayments for the year 2014. Number 232, authorizing historic preservation easement for the Pompton Plains Railroad Station. Resolution 233 is approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the December 8th, 2014 bill list, and that is the revised bill list which was distributed to everyone. And Resolution 234, authorizing the amendment of a contract for the purchase of Block 4111, Lot 4, also known as 34 Hampton Avenue, from Francis and Michelle McMurray.
Okay, and everybody got the revised, some of them were broken up into different emails. You had a revised bill list, you got the one for Hampton separately, and the historic preservation easement was separate as well, I think.
Yep.
So everybody got all that? Does anyone have, any council members have questions, or perhaps, Dave, I don't know if you want to go through the easement,
Is that just a formality, Dave?
yeah.
Yeah,
the-
this one, train station.
For the train station.
Yeah, we're trying to kind of close out that grant and that whole process, and they, you know, the easement is a requirement of the grant funding that we had accepted many years ago, so, yeah, it's kind of concluding that process. The only other comment is the McMurray contract is a contract that has previously been authorized, and as a result of changes required essentially by the mortgage company. This has been one of these contracts that's been difficult as a result of the financing that's involved, and we've been dealing heavily with the mortgage companies. In order to make the financing work, we had to revise the contract purchase price. It's still less than the appraised value, and fits all of the terms of the granting agencies. Really has no financial impact on Pequannock, just how all the numbers met out and who's paying for what. But it's necessary to reauthorize that contract at a different contract purchase price so that we can move that forward.
And that was one of the ones that was on the Morris County program, the flood mitigation program.
This is an FEMA HMGP, which Morris County is funding the
Right.
other, the non-federal share of. And, you know, all along, we have had homeowners also responsible for a portion of the purchase price, so that they're, they have a share of the non-federal portion. But because it is a short sale, we're dealing not just with a homeowner, but with the mortgage company, and they wouldn't move unless, you know, certain concessions were made, so we just changed some of the numbers around.
Well, I see a separate relocation assistance of 22.5 in there. Does that need to be brought forward to the resolution, or no?
No, that would remain.
That's a component of the FEMA the HMGP program, also provides this relocation assistance. It's not necessarily, it's not part of the contract purchase price, but it is part of the program.
Okay. So we don't need to,
No.
because it's part of the program. Okay.
Right,
Okay.
Dave or Kath, do you have anything else?
No,
Good?
good.
Rich? Okay, and Jay's good. All right, is there a motion to adopt these
I'll
resolutions?
make a motion to adopt resolution 2014-28, 29, 230, 231, 232, 233, and 234.
I'll second it. Sorry.
Roll call, please, Mr. Delaney?
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderhoff?
Yes.
Ms. Winterfield?
Yes.
Mayor Florence Lynch?
Yes. There's no listed items for discussion this evening, or do you have something? Okay.
You know, over the past couple of months, we've discussed in theory the soliciting ordinance.
Oh, yes.
So
Oh, yes.
Bob and I have been working together to try and bring some parameters to that, rather than write a draft ordinance for your consideration. I'm actually going to kind of throw it to Bob. The courts have identified a lot of things that you can't do, but not specifically identified what you can do.
Right. The subject of door-to-door solicitation and the municipality's agreement by ordinance to regulate it is something that the courts have been dealing with probably for 50 years. And there's a serious First Amendment component to it that the courts have recognized. And I guess they recognized it first when you applied it to the nonprofits, the Jehovah's Witnesses going door to door. And that sort of makes sense to all of us when you think of it in terms of some of the religious groups and their door-to-door solicitations. But when you look at for-profit entities, people selling things, I think our initial reaction was, well, gee, that doesn't have the same level. It doesn't have the same level, should not have the same level of protection. Well, the courts haven't completely agreed. Early on they did, but most recently this idea of commercial speech and the ability to protect commercial speech is something that the courts have recognized. So they've limited a municipality's ability to regulate it. Haven't said we can't regulate it, but they've limited it. In other words, we can regulate it, but we have to continue to provide an opportunity for people to go door to door. And a lot of what you hear in the court's language is, well, if people don't like it, they can always post no solicitation signs. It's not the municipality as Big Brother that has the right to be out there sort of stopping speech before speech even happens. But there are several areas of regulation that have been permitted within reason. One of those is you are permitted to license people who are going to solicit. Say before you go door to door, you need to come to our police department, tell us you're going to be there, who you are, and essentially submit to some type of criminal record probe to be sure that you're not having people who've been convicted of breaking into homes, going door to door in our community while the police just presume they're innocent people selling things. So that's one area of regulation we can do. Can't take it much further than that. Can't say things like you have to do that 30 days in advance and you have to do it and you have to pay us exorbitant fee to do it. But if we want to take a fee that does nothing more than covers our administrative costs, we could do that. The second thing that, again, goes round and round with court is setting time limits on it. It's not unusual for municipalities to say. It's one thing to let people go door to door in daylight hours, but it can feel very threatening at certain hours of the day and to try to limit that. And again, the courts have allowed the time limitations as long as they're perceived as reasonable. And they have struck down a limitation in this state of 6 o'clock, saying you have to stop at 6 o'clock. We have had limitations of 9 o'clock that have been upheld. So somewhere in that realm of evening time limitations is another area the courts have allowed some limitations to take place. And the final area they seem to allow is ordinances which do one of two things. Either assist people who want to put up no solicitation signs with enforcement. So in other words, it would be a violation of our ordinance for somebody to go on property where someone has posted a sign that they don't want solicitation.
So if I put a sign on my property and we pass an ordinance that says that whatever,
You know
Yeah.
how to
then
put
I have
signs
the
up.
right to prosecute or whatever?
You have the right to, that would be a violation of our ordinance, and you would have the right to have them go to municipal court for violating, sign
for
summons,
violating.
and have them prosecuted.
Could that be just a sticker on your window as opposed to a
It's got to
sign?
be reasonably.
But we don't allow
But-
signs in
but-
and
residence.
we don't allow
But you can't put
signs.
signs in residence, so you're supposed
That's
to.
good. Well,
And I don't think we want to
No,
start.
and I will say, that is an exception to not, we can't prohibit people from putting do not solicit signs,
How about no
do, for
trespassing?
sale signs, no
Beware of
trespassing. We
dog.
cannot prohibit, no trespassing.
No, I can put a no trespassing sign. Do I have the
Does that
same
mean
right that a solicitor walks on my property? So
Yes. Yeah,
don't
that
you read it?
applies the same thing.
It's also posted, correct?
Yep. Yep, so that's
I'll purchase
another,
them tomorrow.
yeah, that's another way to do it. And some towns have created these do not solicit lists, which are
Right.
somewhat like the do not call lists.
Right, where you can.
Are they valid?
And they are valid, and the
They're
courts
valid.
seem to be
can sign
okay
up.
with those. I think the idea is because all we're doing is assisting people in what they have a right to do, which is telling people you cannot come on their property.
Can
So,
they be issued something to
Right.
identify themselves?
right, can we come up with that list or can we come up with some mechanism? Or is that too difficult?
Well, that's the question. The question is how would we administer something like that? And
You probably
do
can
we
make it
wanna go down
online.
that?
You
Well,
can make it online for the website or
that can,
something.
that can be a discussion.
And people
Yep.
could definitely
Well, if you did an
just
ordinance,
opt out.
when they applied for the permit, they would be given.
Oh, that's exactly what you
List
do.
of-
They're given a list of people who.
Yeah, it's like the do
property-
not call list,
Right,
do
But
not
it's gotta be,
solicit
it's gotta
list.
be a form that the resident would fill out.
It would be something that the resident would have.
Right.
They
And
could
it has to
probably
be
do
put
it
in
right
the
online and
database.
register.
Right.
Really,
You
you
could
can
do it
do that
online.
too.
The challenge with that, like with any other type of list that we maintain, is keeping it current. And,
You would have to
You
renew it
know,
every year.
Yeah, right,
Do-
exactly.
you know, is the township expected to affirmatively go out and reconfirm everyone who has signed up for that on a
That
periodic basis?
responsibility
It would be the responsibility of the homeowner, I would
You
think.
would write the
Well,
ordinance.
but then theoretically, you could have a home change over, a new owner not realize that their home has been listed on the do not solicit list. And I think there's even been you know, the courts have addressed that says there's an obligation to kind of keep that current.
Right.
Well, that's why you have to do it every year,
Yeah, and that's how it's kept current, right.
to opt in every year.
Bob, you
Now,
said
whatever
that
it
the
is.
court has challenged the 9 o'clock at night?
Has said that, no, has upheld the one at 9 o'clock at night. When I say courts, part of the confusion here is we've got court, this is an issue all around the country, we have courts deciding things, the Supreme Court has decided a few of these cases,
Yeah, the big one.
but they haven't been particularly, they keep telling us what's not okay, but they don't, and they keep saying some regulation is okay, but they're not particularly good at telling us
What
what
can you
is
say,
okay.
dusk instead?
What do we
Well,
allow, what do we allow
It seems
nowadays?
like 9 or 10 o'clock at night is way too late, but if we did
Absolutely.
like a 9 to 7 or 9 to 6 or something, that's
Well,
reasonable.
at 6 o'clock, you said. was-
Yeah, 6 o'clock, they
It's been
struck down one
challenged.
that was 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
Maybe
Um,
7, 9
people
to
are
7.
home.
Because what the solicitor says is you can't
Whatever.
get people between
Right.
4 and 6 o'clock, you can
And of
only get
course, you
people
have
after
daylight
6
savings
o'clock.
time and then different.
Right, 9 o'clock in the summer feels very different than 9 o'clock this time of year. probably.
Okay, and also, can you make them have something that identifies that they've come and that you know that they have a permit,
Yes.
so that they don't have to keep calling the police department every door they go to, you know? And they have a card, do they
They
wear
do,
something?
and I think
They
we,
do?
I think
Yeah,
we
they,
did
they,
that now,
the
don't we give
police
out a
are,
permit?
yeah.
They do get a
Probably
permit.
not to
I
all
don't
the
know that
people
we
that are
require
scattered
that
all
they
over.
have to
Show that.
have identification visible on them, maybe.
We could do that.
I mean, JCP&L, I mean, the meter readers, all them have identifications, so you know who they are. So you know they're not just someone else.
So I can keep the meter reader off my property with the no.
No,
cost on it?
well, I suppose you could, but you probably
You don't have
couldn't
any
get your gas
utilities.
or electric
Oh,
there.
well.
It definitely
You
seems
start
like
getting
something.
Big things stuff.
They could also say, yeah, we're not servicing.
Now, one comment, the group that started all this conversation was very successful, because if you look around town,
All new windows?
there's a lot of new signs,
Oh.
the windows going in. They did make a lot of sales. A lot
That's
of sales.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
No, this does look like
It's all
something
Anderson,
we
it was
want.
Anderson
Yeah,
windows,
yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of signs going up right
They're
now,
like double the price of
all
anybody
the
else.
replacement windows.
Did you get new windows?
Yeah, right.
So where can we move from here
You
on
have to
this?
do an ordinance?
We would do an ordinance, yeah. I think what Dave was indicating is we, before coming up with an ordinance, we kind of wanted to get a feel as to whether the council thought this was something we should look to.
I do.
I do.
I,
too.
you-
I do, because I think right now, the way it's.
What does it
Right,
say
well, here's
now?
what we have now, and it's not particularly good. We lump together our door-to-door soliciting with like the.
We call it itinerant.
Yeah, the itinerant vendors, which would be your ice cream trucks and your people that are on the street.
Separate.
And yeah, most towns separate that into two different things, because the issues are really a little different
Yeah.
with those. And we say they have to stop that at 10 o'clock at night, so we go kind of late.
That should be-
Yeah, I think more.
Well, that goes to the, you know, the ice cream truck, which is a different type of thing, you know, on July 1st, when it's late to 9:15.
Right, it's hot out.
And it's hot out, it's maybe not unreasonable to have an ice cream truck
Mhm.
out there until 9:30, where you have to go to them.
Right, it's a total different thing.
I don't
It's
have-
different,
I don't
yeah,
have a
So
problem.
somebody's
I
not
think
gonna make it work.
what we were
Yeah,
looking
somebody, I
at
got a
is
problem with somebody not gonna go to that.
creating
Yeah,
a
I
new
do too.
definition of, you know, door-to-door soliciting and regulating that
Mhm.
separate from the itinerant vendors.
It should be separate.
They should be separate, I think.
I think we have enough. room.
Okay, so I hear, I certainly hear support for the idea of licensing and the idea of some type of time limits.
Yeah.
What do we want to do with this idea? Do we want to just support people putting their own signs up? Do you want to go with a do not call list? Do you-
I would do
It's
on the
kind of
list.
tacky putting the
I don't like
soliciting time.
I don't like
in
the
my yard.
sign.
You don't like the sign?
But
Okay.
the do not quote, like a do not
Yeah.
solicit
But
list.
can we write it in there that it's their option, so they're aware of it, if they want to do?
Oh,
that?
yeah, it would never be mandatory, it'd be something we would choose to have. What we put in here is the person getting a solicitation license has to use our list, and if they violate that, then they violated the ordinance and are
Right.
subject to penalties or losing their license.
And what is the penalty? Can we write that in there, or is
Well, the
there a
penalty,
statute?
we'll have it subject to the normal penalties
Okay.
for violation
And
of
again, we
ordinances.
can't be expected to enforce it, but if a homeowner then complains, they now have a,
Mhm.
Right,
A date
I'm on the
and-
list, and
I'm
so
on
and
the
so's
list,
on my
and-
front
right.
steps, you know?
But we'd have to talk to them soon about how to set that up.
yeah,
More things. And
I think it's
if
worth
we put
looking
the
into
onus-
the do not call list,
yeah.
the do not contact list,
Yes.
You could put in your
Absolutely.
taxes.
The
every-
feasibility of
yeah,
how
or
you-
something.
make it work. That's
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if it
Mhm.
doesn't seem unreasonable.
Put a little card and just stuff it in the tax.
Maybe we can draft something up, I don't know if the time frame should just be the same across the board, or whether you do something seasonally for summer versus
You know,
winter,
Well, and that becomes the other question, what timeframe parameters, because that seems to be the big question mark in terms of what's challengeable and what's not. You know, having a very specific timeframe that's too early has very clearly not been permitted by the courts. It's 9 o'clock, just like 10 o'clock for door to door, this time of year seems like it's probably.
Is there a way to do it seasonal?
well, we thought about doing it, and there are some ordinances out there that do talk about sunset, 30
Right.
minutes after sunset or whatever the case might be.
That
I
makes
think so it would
sense.
vary by the year.
Yeah.
I cannot find a court saying that's either okay or not okay.
Okay, New Brown.
So we,
We've done it before.
and you know what, there is a history of these ordinances being challenged in New Jersey. There's a group, I forget their exact name, but they're an environmental
Grassroots
fundraising group.
type, yeah.
And they like to go door to door to collect donations for water, I think they call them just clean water. And they hire college kids to go door to door and collect, solicit donations. And they have been very aggressive in challenging these ordinances. And time is one of the things they are big on challenging because it affects now. I think if we did a seasonal, that probably would not, they would not challenge that because they're out in the summertime. And I think that.
and what, you brought up a good point, what about when it comes to a lot of our volunteer organizations that do a lot
With the
in
sports
town?
people, like lacrosse
Whether
or
it's
anything.
sports or whether it's Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, how does that
Less and less
affect?
of kids going door to door now.
Yeah, and they seem to do it different ways. I
Well, you
guess.
don't, right, you don't get any, there's no Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, it's all been banned by the associations.
Yeah.
And a lot of schools won't do it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we have a lot of that going on, I just wanted to make sure
And I
that
don't think
something.
people are gonna complain if the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts
Right.
knock on your door.
Right.
They don't.
Yeah, like they, the Boy Scouts dropped, they
Yeah.
wanted the food thing, they
They-
left off the bag for the
They
food.
leave up the bags, they put the candles out there.
I mean, technically, if you wanted to be technical about it, the Girl Scouts set up a booth in front of the grocery store selling their cookies. That really, they become itinerant vendors. Nobody's ever complained about that or treated it as a violation.
I just wanna make sure we cover it all and that, people can't
Yeah.
say.
But yeah, if we could tie it to seasonal, sunset,
Okay.
Put the no solicitation in that ordinance too, so I can put the sign in my front yard.
There you go.
Large sign.
no comments.
I need a permit.
Yeah, because then they can't come.
Yeah, and how we can do that. color.
Sunset.
Bless you. So are we good with that? Can we move on? Nothing else for discussion? Okay, next, yes.
Mayor, I had also just reminded the council that regarding setting a date for reorganization.
I think, if everybody's okay with it, I had talked to a couple people, we were thinking of the Tuesday, January 6th at 7 o'clock.
That's
Does that work for everybody?
That works for me.
Okay.
And the
Let's
time
do
on
that.
that was,
7?
okay.
Is that good?
That's fine, unless you want to do it earlier.
Yeah, and that's good for me.
Okay, so 7 PM on Tuesday, the 6th.
Yeah,
Yes. Everybody's okay with that?
I'm fine.
All right,
Well, thank you.
okay.
Be sworn in or sworn out.
Or sworn at.
All right, next item on the agenda, reports and notices. Everyone had a chance to look at those. Anybody have questions or anything on that?
Okay, can I make a
Yes, you sure
comment?
can.
The last one listed there, apparently a resident had requested Green Acres, Blue Acres, buy them out. Just for your information,
This one.
that property is on one of our FEMA grant lists, and we have been attempting to enter into a contract with that property owner for the past 3 years, and they have been non-responsive to us,
So why would they do that?
because they don't like the FEMA requirements.
Okay.
That's not the house you had the issue with.
Well, there are many houses with
okay.
many issues,
Right.
but, no,
That's
just,
not-
just so you don't think that we're,
Right.
there's someone out
Ignoring
there
them.
who seems like they're being ignored. They're,
Okay.
we've attempted,
And do you think that that's gonna be successful?
no.
Okay.
So they didn't, like, the requirements went down this route and,
Yeah, I think they thought they could enter into a contract privately with Green Acres, but
Mhm.
Green Acres will only work through the local.
okay. So what's gonna happen now with
They've exhausted their opportunities and our grant period is over.
Okay. If no one has anything else, I'm going to move right to the manager's report.
You should have stayed home.
Okay, we are scheduled to close on the final acquisition under the FEMA SRL grant on Friday. This grant was received in 2011. I'd like to express my thanks to Frank Spazzeri, Bob Oostdike, Diane Rizzi, Jim Hofstadler, Holly Lyon, Paul Miller, Jen McCullough, Sylvia Haystreet, and Aaron Sela for the time and effort that they have spent bringing this program to a successful completion. It's taken a lot of effort on a lot of different people to get through that process, so thank you to them. We received our group health insurance renewal quotes last week. There's no increase in our fixed cost portion of our health plan, and only a moderate expected increase in the expected claims that we pay on a self-insured basis. So that's good news. Representatives of the Morris County Soil Conservation District were on site yesterday and inspected several ongoing projects for compliance, including the township's de-snagging project along the Pompton River and the Castle project. The inspection indicated that all active projects are in compliance with both the permits and the regulations. You also have an updated project status report.
All right, everybody's good? No questions for Dave on his report? Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Jefferson Street?
Yeah.
They're fast, right?
The current plan seems to be, they're gonna do, base course resurfacing, on everything except the intersection where there's still some, drainage facilities that need to be installed underground. Once those are done, they'll do the base course on that, and if weather holds out, we'll get final paving done. But they have continued to be slow in their activity.
And it's, they're slow on their activities, there's no changes on our end that have slowed them down.
No, they're just not giving, they have other projects going on, and they're giving us, very minimal,
It's a small project.
yes.
probably.
It's not their bread and butter.
Yeah, okay.
All right, Dave, do you have anything for your report as well?
I missed the open space meeting last night. I was at the Golden Panther Football Club senior awards dinner, so I missed that. And Parks and Rec met the week before. Nothing really going on. Kind of quiet right now.
And Kath, do you have
I do have a
anything?
question, Dave, for the Martinberry. You said that you contacted, I guess, Eleanor. I talked to her briefly over the weekend, and have you sat down with her yet? Or no?
She was not available 2 weeks ago, and she was ill last week. So
Yeah, she was
I've-
in the hospital.
I've spoken,
Yeah.
yeah, I've spoken to her several times, and is
Not connected. Okay.
just haven't set up time.
Oh, all
yet.
right, okay, yeah.
She's a busy lady, right?
Very busy.
You're busy.
I want to be that busy when
Mm.
Yeah, right?
Do you have anything else?
No, nothing else, that's it.
All right, Rich, you got anything?
Nothing.
And Jay, you got anything?
Up to we'll have the elections tomorrow night for officers for 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna mention Jefferson Street, I said they milled it,
Okay,
I should be gone again. That's it.
all right. I just have a couple of things. First I wanted to ask, are any council members going to the District 40 holiday party? That is this week, Thursday, 6 to 8? Okay, I wasn't sure if anyone was going. No one? Dave?
I have a prior commitment.
Okay, and I know Kathy's can't go. All right, I just wanted to make sure. All right, we talked about and we're sticking with our regular Tuesday, December 23rd meeting. I know there was some discussion about moving that. Is everybody okay with that? Everybody's available for our regular December 23rd
There
meeting?
is a chance that I will not be here.
Okay, but that shouldn't be an issue if he's not, because we'd only be missing one. Okay, there was some
I'll be
discussion
here
with
in the
that.
morning, but I won't be here that night.
Okay. Environmental meeting, Environmental Commission is meeting tomorrow night. We are having 1 or 2 reps from the Pilgrim Pipeline to come in just so they can ask questions. I'll follow up with everyone with, anything that comes out of that. But I know we're meeting here first,
Right.
and then I'm gonna run down the hall, so. What else?
Next.
That's really about it. Louise already did EDC. My flood committee meets on Thursday.
I do have one question for Dave. Yeah, just about the budget. You said that in your report, the budget's going well. If we could start to float some dates so we can get them all on
Yeah.
our calendars. I know it's a little early, but not really.
I can.
Yeah,
that's
that'd be
good.
good, just to
Start,
kind of
yeah.
start thinking about that. Did you have something?
Yeah, I have a TVSA meeting tomorrow, so I won't be here until a little bit later, so depending upon, you have two coming in tomorrow, right?
I have two confirmed, 6:30 and 7:30, but our meeting is scheduled for 6, so we'll open the meeting and recess it until 6:30.
Okay. I won't be there, or I may be late,
Okay.
depending on what happens.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is public comment. Those wishing to address the council are invited to come forward and state their name and address for the record. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience that has any comments or questions? Yes, Ann.
I'm tired. I just got out of work, so I apologize. Ann Johnson, 16 Romont Road, Pompton Plains, New Jersey. Where do I begin? It's been 3 years since my home flooded. I have been talking to Melissa. I've been talking to Dave. I've spoken to Rich in the past. I'd like it on record that I don't know if you all know that I did have a private confidential meeting. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago with Dave and Rich. And they kept it confidential and they had promised me something. And then they turned their back on me and said that they had never promised me anything. That's besides the point. I was here the other day talking to Dave. Are you laughing at something, sir? Or? Oh, okay. I saw you look over to the woman, so I saw you smirking. I didn't know if you found anything funny about this. Okay.
I misunderstood it.
Good. Thank you. I don't know where to begin to ask for help here. I'm trying to get everybody's name down. My husband has written to Dave Cole. He's written to Melissa. I don't know who else to ask you all for, different things. He was looking into how many people in the floodplains did get permits. They were waived on the website, as you all know. It states all flood-related permit fees will be waived. So when my house flooded for the fourth or fifth, I was forced by FEMA to raise my house. I was forced by the town and FEMA to raise my house. So I had two choices: walk away. And half you who know me, I have an 88-year-old father who lives with me. I had a sister who was 48 that died during the flood. So I had a real nightmare on my hands here. And I confided in these two gentlemen after all this happened to me. And they were going to help me out, but that never happened. Anyhow, I'm still begging for help. I still have not paid my fees, my permit fees. That should have been waived. Now, because I was forced by FEMA to raise my house, we feel that, you wrote this on your webpage about all, flood related. Well, I had to raise my house because it was flood related. So, I had no choice. So, like I spoke to Dave, I said, if I had been the manager at the time, the town manager, I probably would have charged everybody maybe $25 or $50 for permit fees, maybe. And then I think maybe the town would have made out like bandits. But instead, everybody's permit fees were waived except for 10 of us. 10 in my area. I think after some realized that, these people really are going to raise their house. What are we going to do? And after we all saw on the website that the permit fees were waived, then we decided, okay, what do? Walk away or you raise your home. We had no choice. We had to raise it. So for me, I'm still fighting to get my CO because my husband and I will not and don't feel that we should have to pay the permit fees. I know the town council, I don't know who had come up with the fees in the very beginning. It was like $2,000. And then I think a bunch of us complained in the flood areas. So I think the board, town council, you dropped it in half. Then a bunch of, then 2 or 3 suggest maybe, we won't tell anybody, Ann, but we'll go to the town church and ask them to fork out the $800 for you. So you can get your permit, you can get your final permit. At this point, it's not about the money. It's the principle that on the website, it said all flood related. I mean, my glasses, I can't see, I'm so blind. I mean, you're the lawyer, am I nuts or I'm looking for help here?
Ann, can I interject? And
Sure.
I think everyone's pretty much up to speed on all the issues, but if they're not, I've been talking to you for a long time,
Right.
and as you said, you had talked to many of us in the past, but we did all, the council did sit down, we went through all the recommendations from the engineer, the building department, the town manager. We did decide to cut those permit fees in half if you're elevating or doing renovations to your home. The permit fees that were waived were the fees to get you back in your house and the repairs. But I guess you guys had interpreted it different, and I know we've had many conversations.
Everybody interpreted it different. It
So-
says in black and white, and I didn't go to college. All flood-related permit fees will be waived.
Right.
I don't care what that means. I don't, if it's taking out your kitchen counter or putting in a new bathroom. It was all flood related. Am I wrong? But I heard that the town saves money or makes money on. I don't know about makes, but saves money if someone like me raises my house. I've helped you, haven't I?
Well,
Or have I hurt the town? I've helped the town.
You've
It
actually
helps
helped
you-
yourself too,
No,
though,
I've helped the
because,
town also.
because when you elevate your house, your flood insurance premiums will go way down.
My flood insurance
And-
premiums do not
No.
go down because I don't get a CO. They will
Well,
not
once
give
you
me
get the
CO.
CO.
Now, did anybody on the board know that Bob Grant now has written a couple of letters, which I just got quite a kick out of? Decided to write a couple of letters to the people in the village, I'm not giving names, that they don't have their final inspection and that they're going to be fined $2,000.
And this is,
Now, one of my neighbors isn't here. No, I'm not even talking about you.
No, that's me.
Yeah, no.
all right, hold on.
I'm talking about a very good neighbor of mine. The reason why she hasn't finished is because there's no more money. I don't know where people think that we get millions to redo our homes. But this woman who wasn't in the home for 3 years, and I'm sure you can all figure it out by now, lost her husband, lost her son with their illness, just got a letter today from Bob Grant saying a $2,000 fine because she hasn't finished with her final permits. And she said to me, Ann, I don't have the money to finish my house. I'm struggling day to day. I said, I understand where you're coming from.
So,
Why
finish the
10,
work.
why
Finish
10
what, raising
people?
the house?
Why didn't,
I don't know, what was that for? Not finishing the raising of the house or not?
not finishing her inspections. I guess with Eric
To
investigating.
get the CO.
you know, whatever he did and whatever.
Yeah, no,
they
Eric
decided
asked us
to
a lot
come
of
up with.
questions,
Yeah.
and Dave Holberg did get all that information that he asked
But
back to him.
Bob Grant has to have somebody tell him, Bob, you gotta go through all these and find out who did that? Who went to Bob Grant and said, you gotta go through this list and find out who didn't get their final inspection?
Well, I think that's just part, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's part of the process. It's all computerized and you have to go through that process.
Well, I haven't
don't
got the
know.
letter, but I'm just wondering who, nobody tells Bob Grant to, you know, make sure all the permits are done?
Well, that's part of Bob Grant's
Job,
I'm-
right.
I understand
I'm
that.
aware that he issued violations.
All right, well, that's
for
what I'm asking. You speak up.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
you knew.
Yeah, no, I was talking first, he was waiting.
All outstanding, yeah.
But Dave, you have
inspections
to
that have
understand one
been-
thing.
That have been outstanding for multiple years.
You have
not-
to understand, all
She
of
doesn't
who
wanna hear
don't
anything.
live in a flood area. I still have a hole in my house
Then how are you
because
doing
I
that?
don't have enough money to get an elevator to get my father up and down. And I'm sick of talking to you and don't take it personal. I'm tired of it. I want my CO, I want you to leave me alone, and I want to get on with my life. I told you that. I called Pompton Lakes. Pompton Lakes didn't charge anybody money for any inspections or anything. They waived it all for a year. Wayne didn't get back to me yet. But, and I even said to Dave, how long is this gonna go on? Do I have to get a lawyer from town? Because I'm penniless, so I'll have to ask pro bono, whatever the hell they do, to come in here and sit down and discuss lawyer to lawyer, whatever. Who's going to interpret this way, and who's gonna interpret that way?
Well, I believe that we talked about this, David. I thought we did
Yes,
this through,
I
I thought we
spoke
did
to
this through, ordinance.
We did do it through
I mean,
ordinance.
we do this as a body. We can't do this
Right, we
individually.
can't do
Nobody
it-
here individually has any power that
Okay,
way.
Right.
Now, I know I've overstayed my time, but I asked Dave in the beginning, last week, when you all sat down and waived the fees, because I don't know how this
Right.
all works. You waived the fees, which thank God we're all grateful for. Who then decided, we better charge the 10 people who are raising their homes, we better charge them? Who decided that, and then who voted on that? I want to know who voted, if I'm allowed.
Yeah, correct me if I'm
Jake,
wrong, but we all agreed that we wanted to do whatever we could. We waived the fees, and then there was recommendations made, but I think that they still had to charge some fees.
We actually had to go back and
We had
remove
to
some
go-
people too.
Right.
You had to what?
Where we had
did,
charged,
We
we
made that
had-
change.
when
and
we
I-
made
I
that
think
change.
To understand construction code fees, you kind of have to back up. There is
We're not
there's a
talking
schedule.
construction fees.
Yeah, no, but that's what
We're
this
talking
is.
flood fees, it's a big difference.
No, these are
I
construction
did
fees.
not do anything in my house different. I raised my house. Oh no, I lost my formal dining room to put my father in a bedroom downstairs so he wouldn't have to climb 15 more steps. So I actually
Well,
lost,
that's illegal, isn't it?
lost
Living space.
Living space.
a
Yeah.
living space,
Mhm.
so I could help my father. It's just like 3 years, and you all sit up here. Don't get me wrong. I thank you for your jobs, but it's like, how long have I been begging for help? It's like, how long is this going to go on? Because I'm not giving you the $800 because it was the money, and now it's the principal. And my husband and I sat here, maybe it was last Christmas instead, to the one family who just got the $2,000 fine, which was laughable. Because we're all penniless down there. Why do you think we live down there? I mean, I have to speak for myself. But to go after her for $2,000, 2 weeks before Christmas,
Stay on one topic.
I don't know how anyone sleeps at night.
And that's because she didn't get her CO, I guess, right?
I don't have my
Finished her-
CO.
Yeah.
And I even said to Dave, if somebody falls in my house because the town will not give me a CO, who's going to get sued here? The town, or will I get sued? You're not
You-
giving
You
me
know,
the
you know
CO.
the answer, you know it will be you, because you don't have a CO, and your house is not in
But now
progress.
you
The
said,
town
put a CO,
refuses
put
to
a
give me a
window.
CO.
No.
No.
The town refuses to give me a CO.
but didn't you say also that the house isn't done because of the elevator, that there's a hole in the house, so you can't even get a CO for that? Or is everything
Well,
done?
I even called the elevator company, which I had gotten a heck of a discount on an elevator, and I said to them, after 3 years, with all this nonsense with the town, I could have paid you guys monthly. I could have paid you which I said from day one, all right, I'll pay you $5 a month until that 800 or 1,000 is paid off. Nobody would do it.
The one conversation,
I mean, eventually you're gonna
yeah.
have to say to yourselves, there are people in the village who cannot finish their homes. There is $0 left in our pockets, so what, even the poor woman said, I think the letter said that they could possibly throw you out of your home. What kind of town are we living in? That you'd write something like that to people?
So to your point, the reason people don't have their COs is because they don't have enough money to finish it, and there's quite a few people.
And I don't have a CO because I'd lay the floor down and tell my
Well,
husband there's gonna be a closet.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what we were going to help you with initially when you said that we made promises, wasn't that about trying to get some money from the flood relief fund from the church, but you didn't want the help from that. Is that correct?
No, that was just this year, when you recommended that, and my husband said no. At this point, it's the principle with
Yeah.
my husband.
Well, I don't know how else we could
I
have done
really
it.
don't know
can't
how to
treat
resolve
people
this
differently.
either.
No.
We can't treat people.
Well, that's the
differently.
thing, we can't, we've been treating everybody the same, doing it the same across the board, so I don't
You haven't
know.
treated everybody the same, I haven't paid. You forced these people to pay, and you said that they couldn't get back in their homes unless they paid.
Right, and that's what.
I didn't care what anybody said.
Mhm.
I took my 88-year-old father in a building that had no walls, no heat, no water, but we had a bed to sleep in. So I didn't care what anybody said. And please don't think I'm being rude when I say that, but you have to understand where I'm coming from. So in other words, Melissa, is what you're saying, the town, what will you do for us in the village? I mean, and then, and then I love that,
I don't know if there's any.
the town, when I was the first to raise, we couldn't close our houses, okay? I was the first one to go up. Then Barbara was the second one to go up. Then after that, I get a phone call from Dave Battaglio, who's no longer with us. Made a mistake, Ann, he says to me, because my whole basement's enclosed. You have to open it up 20%. So I said to him on the phone, you know what's going to happen there. I can't, I'm not going to open it up. I don't have the money. So what happened after that? Months, a year, 2 years later, all the people that the town or the advice they got through FEMA, they turned around and told everybody who raised their house, you have to leave 20% of it open. Now, after telling the people in the village you had to leave it 20% open, you've actually cost them money because now they can enclose it.
Because
Can you imagine
You were already
living
done.
where we live and having this happen to you? So you gotta 2, 4, 6, you gotta say to yourselves, wow, they really got hit down there, and now look what we've done, or what FEMA's done. How are these people gonna close up these basements? Anybody gonna, should I go around with a tin can? Is anybody gonna give me, if there's give me $100?
Yeah,
and
no,
then
I'm trying to understand that, so you were
Yeah,
done.
I don't understand about the closing up thing.
Yes.
I didn't know about that.
Oh, yes.
State
yes.
regulations change.
Recently, you told me that you had initially
Yeah, I told
finished,
Dave that the other day.
you finished your work, and then you were told you had to
Oh,
open
yeah.
it up.
And I laughed and said, well, that's not gonna happen because I don't have the money to tell the cement guy to open it up. And thank God I didn't, Because
then they
Now it's
switched.
okay.
now
Now
they're
it's-
telling us you have to close it up.
Well, they don't have to, they
You don't
can
have to
maybe,
close it
they
up.
can.
No, but you can.
Oh, not that they have to,
You don't.
oh, all right.
Yeah, but would if it was your home, would you like it closed? Or would you like the skunks and the, and the squirrels and the mice, would you like them in your basement? No. You'd want your basement closed up. Where are all these people gonna come up with the money to close their basements now?
I thought the water had to flow through.
But you'd
Yeah.
want to
There
close
does have to be
them.
enough open.
If you had any
Oh,
brains,
alright.
you'd want to close your
But
basement.
they're like fenced.
The reason why they had to change the rules is because people's basements, the water pipes were all freezing and busting down there.
So, bottom line is there was some some changes that occurred, and it,
Yes, there,
I mean,
there,
I
there
don't-
was,
There wasn't
there was
plumbing.
changes in information that was being received from both DEP and FEMA, and there were changes in state regulations regarding the required enclosure.
It was changed,
Right.
I swear on a stack of Bibles, this was changed 3 years ago. After I raised my house, maybe 3 or 4 months later, Dave Battaglio told me, all hell's gonna break loose, Ann, because now we're being told that they can enclose their basements. I would have had a nervous breakdown if I was in that position. But I just don't know what to do at this point, so.
I'm not sure there's anything we can do at this point, or there
Well, I
options
don't
or,
get a CO until I sell the house and, so in other words, that's where we stand now, I don't
Does
get a
anyone have
CO,
any-
and you can send me all the letters you want, and
Yeah.
I don't know what to ask.
I'm gonna-
because
I don't know if it makes sense to follow up with any of these other surrounding towns.
I called
I-
Compton Lakes,
Yeah, I don't know, I talked to Mike Simone the other day, I thought they only waived,
Widespread now.
yeah.
they waived it for a whole year, Compton Lakes, their fees.
Elevation,
The gentleman didn't think anybody elevated in Compton Lakes.
So then it doesn't.
So they waived the same thing we did.
the same as we
Yes.
did.
And the term is flood damage, which is a term found in the FEMA guidance. Yeah,
My home was flood damaged. I was forced by Pequannock Township and by FEMA to raise my home. So that is flood related. Do you right?
Is
No.
that true, Bob?
I don't believe our ordinance was written that way.
No.
FEMA and Pequannock Township
It's
are
on the
forcing people
website.
to raise their-
But we have law that backs that up, and I don't know
We
what.
have
So it
Well,
has
we
nothing to do
have to
with.
see the, why would you have that though on the website? All flood related fees will be waived, and then you're telling me there's,
Because that's not the way we talked about it.
but you can't talk about it behind closed doors.
No,
You
we
should
didn't.
see
It was
what
right
happened.
here.
Everything
It
is
was right here.
Stores, and it was by ordinance,
And it
which
was
you have
right
to
here.
do, that's what matters.
And that's the unfortunate
They must
part,
have
is
the
that it was
ordinance.
interpreted wrong. I'm
It
sorry, Dave.
wasn't interpreted wrong. You want to say that to get out of the mess you're in.
No,
That-
no,
that's
there was
what
an
you're trying
ordinance.
to do.
There's an ordinance, and the ordinance is on the webpage. I don't know what page
The
you're
ordinance
referring
says
to.
what? Who has a computer yet?
Jay has it.
I mean, everybody, I don't, but everybody has those type of phones today that you can look that up in a second. Well, what
Is there a way
ordinance?
Like it's not.
The waiver for the flood damage, and you and I had this conversation
Yeah.
last Friday, was to repair back to existing condition.
Am I talking to the brick walls here? I had to,
No, you're not
I
listening.
brought my house up to what I had it as.
I mean, I respect what you're saying and I hear you, but it's the way it was interpreted,
Walk
the
away,
way
not
we
listening.
were told it is if you're doing work beyond just putting it back
She's not
together,
listening.
that's
I
different.
didn't
And that's when we
do anything extra.
Dave, did you
I
review her file to make
raised
sure it's
my
right?
home so my 88-year-old father could live in it
Right.
and not get out. Okay, if you want the $800 out of me, everybody fork over $100, please. How about that? Give it to whoever you have to give to, and give me my CO so my father can rest in peace without all this nonsense. I have a hole in my house with tarp on it. And you got Bob Grant sending letters to the us people down there? 3 weeks before Christmas?
Yeah, I don't know what notices were sent out, but they're trying,
I mean, come on.
they're what?
It was last while through the whole town.
Yeah, no, and it wasn't just down there, it was throughout the whole town, but
Oh, yeah, this has been 3 years with them.
did, Barbara, did you want to come up?
Can I come up?
Sure, just state your name and address.
Yeah, sure. I'm Barbara Chiampa, 14 Lynn Place, Pompton Plains. I just wanted to correct maybe or make more clearly understood, and then I have one question. But you were saying over on the end, Dave and Kathy, that FEMA does require you to raise your home if you have more than 50% damage from floods. And my house certainly had more than 50% damage. And so I needed to raise my home. My whole foundation was ruined. I had to knock the foundation down and start all over. But that's neither here nor there. It certainly was 50% more. There is a person I understand there is a homeowner on Voorhees who fixed her home and found out later, because Bob tallied up all of the repairs and improvements, that it ended up costing her more than 50% of what her taxable amount was on her home. And she has 2 years to demolish or raise her home because of FEMA. Not because of Pequannock, but because of FEMA. So that's the rule. So there were people who had more damage that raised their home, whether it was required because they had 50% more or because they wanted to. In my case, I had to. All right?
Well, I guess you had to, or you wouldn't be insured,
Correct.
right?
Right,
Right.
Right. I mean, you could,
but who's going to?
you wouldn't have been insured.
Right. And as far as the flood insurance being drastically reduced, doesn't happen. I would have had to have filled out like 24,000 pages and with all of these requirements and legal whatevers in order to get my lot changed as to what it was listed as in the flood zone area. And don't ask me what it was, 2A. I'm not 2A and I needed to be something else. And I could have applied for that, but who knows if I needed even a lawyer to help me fill out all that paper. My flood insurance reduced by $400.
After you
Yeah,
raise.
see, now I was surprised at that because I thought
Well, maybe
most.
But I have a mortgage.
It
I
could-
have a mortgage.
But it could be that maybe
Twice
we
as
do have to
much
put
as
in
what it was.
that paperwork, no?
Yeah, do you mind me asking, what are you paying in flood insurance, do you know?
1,600. It used to be 2,000.
And after the elevator went down by the 400. Would you mind calling my office? Because, I mean, that's something that doesn't match what we're being told by National Flood Insurance. So if there's something else that needs
But
to get done.
again, because I have my mortgage doubled with the flood insurance. I needed to double the amount of money that I had borrowed in order to finish my home, and I'm still not done.
Oh, so the amount that it's insured for is,
So
Correct?
the
It's based on the value of the home and what my mortgage is.
Okay.
It's the mortgage company that's determining what my insurance
Flood insurance
is.
Okay.
So you can't go around saying
So it's not
that
like,
your,
it's more mortgage.
your
Yeah.
flood insurance is going to be
Because your house
reduced.
is
Oh,
more
yeah,
valuable
sure,
now.
but if you've got to pay another $100,000 to have your house
Okay.
fixed, it's not happening.
There
That's an
still could
interesting
be
point.
something, but there was a big article on News Troll about people who did raise and they couldn't get it cleared up with the insurance company, changing the rate, so there may still be something
There
there.
might be something coming down the pipe.
yeah, if you wouldn't mind just giving me a call. I
Sure.
just want to get your flood insurance information, like your policy information,
Sure.
and let me run it through National Flood Insurance and make sure that they're rating it correctly.
Yeah, you did send out a letter, right, about that and about a group or something like that. And I did look at that and I read that and I thought, no, manufacturers is doing me a little bit better than that.
Okay.
Because I have New Jersey manufacturers and they're top notch. They're
They are.
really great people. I could never complain about the amount of money that I received for the damages that I had, but I still needed another $100,000. You know, so the mortgage is twice as much. And I'm also wondering, how do I go about now getting the $2,000 waived? The penalty fee.
Now, yours
I
is
have
for
a
what?
temporary CO, but I do not have a CO.
And if you don't mind, go ahead.
The penalty hasn't been imposed yet. I mean, but part of the enforcement process, and, you know, like was indicated, that Bob went through, you know, outstanding violations throughout the community that have been going on for multiple years and sent notices. I mean, it's the start of the process. You know, it then goes to court, and the judge will hear your case, and if you've got a reasonable explanation, and, you know, then it goes to the court system. So there is no $2,000 penalty now. That's
No, you're
what
just
could
scaring-
happen if it's not.
Yeah,
Scaring the people.
It felt like a scare tactic to me.
That's
And,
exactly
and the reason being, I never even received a 30-day or a 60-day or a 90-day notice that I was going to have that amount of money penalized. That just blew me away. How do you send out a $2,000 penalty when you're quoting legislation in Pequannock's legislation that they have a right to charge you $2,000, but I'm a layperson. What the heck do I know about our legislation? Does everybody else know what that means? Do you read that? Did you read that one? I didn't. So at least give me the legislation. Tell me what it says. Tell me I have 30, 60, 90 days to come up with the money. Not send me a $2,000 threat. That just did not sit right
Yeah,
with me.
I don't think I saw the notice.
Well, it's a state uniform construction code form that he sends out.
And then I guess then I have to pay, if I want to fight it, I have to pay $100 if I want to fight it.
So I guess we couldn't have, well, it's
No,
too late
it's
now, we
his-
couldn't have
it's-
toned it
it's-
down, but
it's
that's
the
the way
form.
the form is.
I think the point was to try to get compliance and get these COs so that he has a complete CO list as opposed to getting a penalty. And if there's a reason why that you're with the temporary and can't get the permanent, that's the goal, is to try to get you to get the permanent.
Well, as I said to the building office, I have had 2 surgeries in the last 6 months, so, and the first surgery came the same day the letter came, so I didn't, my first letter came, so I didn't even see that letter for a couple of weeks. But,
Now, what is the issue on your house, if you don't mind me asking, that you only have a temporary CO? You have work that's
oh
not
yeah,
done?
my fire smoke alarm was about this much too close to the bedroom door jamb, so we had to move that. And something about pipe insulation, but that's plumbing, and I thought I
Okay.
passed plumbing. Because if you pass plumbing for a temporary CO, don't I pass plumbing? Didn't I pass plumbing if it's for the temporary? How do I get in there as with a temporary CO if the plumbing
Yeah.
failed? It passed. So today, the other day, I called for a fire inspection because now my smoke detectors have been moved, and they've been moved. I just haven't been well enough to follow through. And I get a man that wants to look at my plumbing today. He had no ID. I said to my son this afternoon, he could have come into a stranger was in my home. I had no ID. I had no idea who this man was. Don't even ask me what his name was.
So no
And
one,
now he's looking at my plumbing. And I said to him, I said, what are you looking at my plumbing for? I passed plumbing. You're here for my fire inspection. Oh no, Bob Grant told me to look at the plumbing too. Well, I didn't call for plumbing. I didn't even know I needed to call for plumbing. So anyway, I'm more than 3 minutes.
No, you're fine.
But you
What
know,
did
that's,
he- what
these
did
are
he
my
say about your
griefs.
plumbing?
did he find any problems?
He said, doesn't your pipe freeze down here? And I said, no, it doesn't, sir. My water pipe is insulated. I have double insulation in my ceilings. I have it blown, plus I have mat.
Hopefully they
How
were
many-
just doing what they had to do to get you a permanent
Right.
CO,
Yeah,
which was the
I
goal of it.
don't know enough
I
about the,
Oh no, I
How
doubt
many,
that.
how many
Not from
letters
Bob
have been
Grant.
sent out?
No, he and I don't see.
Quite a few? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, I got a letter when we raised our house, that the town was going to sue us and take us to court because we entered the house without
without a
permission.
temporary CO.
Well, again, I guess it's these state forms that they use, and I apologize that they look so
It's okay, I mean, I just don't.
scary. We have, you know, we don't have the
I mean, I
opportunity
just
to see
don't
them
need any more of
beforehand.
that. I'm scared enough with what's going on in my own home.
At this point, I don't think there's much more we can do. I mean, unless for some reason, like in your situation, Ann, if we can do something to see if there's money with the church. But I don't
Go
see what
ahead,
else we can do.
Melissa. I don't care what Eric says. You guys have ruined my life for 3 years. Do it and give me my CO.
We can talk to Kathleen and.
All right, we'll talk. Okay. All right.
And no, I'm done talking.
No, I know. I
No,
mean,
we
we'll-
know. We can.
I'm
Kathy and I
done.
just said, well,
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go back to
Thank
my
you.
seat now.
Get the money and give me my CO. And you know what? I don't want to wait 4 months, 3 months.
no, this has been going on for years. I know. I
Yeah,
know.
3 years, okay? Because we,
I would imagine she's
Yeah,
gonna have
we
to patch
just-
the hole.
we looked at it the wrong
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, you got a hole in your floor.
Or do something.
Yeah, that's the only thing when you say there's still a hole there.
They
something has
don't
to be
care.
done, Right? It's not like
I've
it's not
told you
money at
that
this
for
point.
3 years. Did anybody care? 3
Well, we're
years
gonna have to
I've
follow
been-
up on this because besides the money, it sounds like there's work that needs to be done to even get it, right?
Is there work to be done, Ann, or is it just covering up the elevator hall? So you can get the CO? If money wasn't an issue, what else has to be done?
Nothing.
I mean, I don't think you're gonna give her a CO if she's got a
No.
hole in the floor.
Well, I need the hole in the floor to get the elevator. And I can't get the elevator because they won't give me my CO.
Well, could I just-
Okay, we'll
could I
follow
just
up.
make a
Is
comment
she
on
operating
that?
under a temporary
It-
CO too, then?
Why are you shaking your
I'm
head,
trying to
sir?
figure it out. What are you operating under? Do you have a temporary
I mean, you're
CO now?
shaking your head
Because
asking
I'm
me.
trying
Right.
to figure
I
it
don't
out.
have anything. I don't have a temporary
You have
nothing.
nothing. Okay.
Nothing.
So are you telling us that the elevator company is not gonna put the elevator in because you don't have a CO?
That's correct.
Could I-
They
That
can't,
makes no
by
sense.
law.
Should I get up there?
Yeah, please get back up. I don't like
Yeah.
people talking from the seat,
They can't.
but, all right.
Just wanna
So
clear
at least we
up
understand the issue. Maybe we can check with the Kathleen on the one end and we can check with the building department on the other.
Because I'm not sure she'll.
My initial architectural plans included a dumbwaiter in my home because I have 15 stairs and I don't do stairs. So I have a dumbwaiter for my garbage to go down and my food to go up. I checked that off at the bottom of the brown envelope that everybody fills out for their permit application. And it wasn't until, oh gosh, I don't even know when. But it didn't come from Bob Grant. I had to apply, I think it came from the dumbwaiter people out west, Utah, Colorado, wherever I got it from.
Okay.
Because it had to meet certain specifications, because it had to have a pit flow switch, so that in my stupidity, should I leave the dumbwaiter down in the basement when a flood warning has been issued, that the dumbwaiter would spark off and create an electrical problem. I would be that stupid to do that. But anyway, I have a pit flow switch, and now I have a dumbwaiter. But in order to have the dumbwaiter installed, I had to apply to Trenton, because no one in this community is authorized or licensed to approve the installation of a dumbwaiter or an elevator, because it was the elevator subcode that I had to apply to in order to get my dumbwaiter. I was initially denied, but the individual who runs that office in Trenton was extremely kind, called me when he wasn't on duty. Barbara, just go ahead and put it in. Just tell Mr. Grant that I said it was okay. Because Trenton's rule is, denied because you're in a flood zone. It's the stamp. There's a stamp. Denied. Check, check, check. Flood zone.
Wow.
That's why you will have an extremely difficult time getting an elevator. So first, Bob Grant said, oh no, I don't believe you. I then had to reapply, and then my friend whited out and then approved me. because he understood my plight. So I have a dumbwaiter thanks to this gentleman in Trenton. No thanks to Bob Grant. I mean, these people who have elevated their homes, I know another home that's on Brookside, the woman is so flustered because she has outside stairs in the front and in the back that go up into her home without any protection, which is, that's the architectural's problem. But there's no protection for her when she's carrying in her groceries or carrying a kid or whatever. So I'm thankful that I have my inside stairs with my little chairlift that takes me up, and I have my dumbwaiter. But again, I needed a special permit approved by Trenton because no one in Pequannock is licensed to authorize the installation of an elevator or a dumbwaiter. So just to clear you up
All
on
right.
that.
Well, thank you for educating us on some of this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like an ongoing.
It's endless.
Believe me, I learned subcode names, I learned everything. I learned all about stone, I know it all, so.
We're going to have to keep reaching out and seeing what other people are doing. All right, thank you.
Yeah, you better start with that.
Okay,
Wow.
all right, we'll follow up on that. Anyone else for the public comment session? No? Okay. Next on the agenda, do we have anything tonight for closed session? Do we have any? Okay. So if there's a motion, I guess, to, we don't have any approval of minutes tonight either? Where?
No.
All right, yeah, let's make a motion to, okay, all right.
I'll second.
Can I have a second to adjourn?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all.